Let me ask you a question today. Do you feel like you are receiving the best high quality care from your team that you can possibly get? Or are there times when you kind of just feel like a number?
Hit the subscribe button and click the bell notification to become part of the Transplant Helper community.
Hey folks, welcome to Transplant Helper again today. My name is Jim Burrell, and today we're going to be talking about patient care, and particularly how we ought to be treated as transplant recipients and the type of priority that I believe at least we ought to be receiving in every given situation. Now, this really comes to mind because of a post I saw just the other night on one of my favorite Facebook groups, transplant-related groups, and basically the person asked the question of all of us, do you feel like you are just a number in the eyes of your transplant team? And I've been reading the comments for several days, and most people, for the most part, are saying, no, I don't feel like a number. I feel special. My treatment is of the highest quality. You know, I really feel good about my team, and I feel like I'm worth something. Others, however, and they were few, but they were still there, basically said, I know exactly what you're talking about. I go into clinic, and they basically hardly even call my name. The doctors come in. They don't seem to know my case. They really don't answer my questions. They're in and out of the room in a few seconds, and I'm just not receiving the level of care I expected and even maybe that I once did. And I'll tell you straight up, this is one of those rant type videos where that itself, that idea, it burns me up, okay? I cannot stand to think about any of my friends like you being treated or mistreated in a certain way that's not up to par in my mind. I want us all, and we do for the most part, but I want us all to receive the highest quality of care and receive priority in every single situation. Now, I may be spoiled at my transplant center where I go, UAB Hospital, Birmingham, Alabama. We always get priority care. Heart transplants are the first ones in for testing, the first ones to have appointments. If any procedure needs to be done, you're not going to wait on that. Any results that come from any procedure or test being done, you don't wait on that. Generally, we get them same day. And so great priority. When it comes to our medications, same thing. If you deal with, and I do, my transplant center's pharmacy, I get my medications next day air, sometimes even couriered straight to my house if I need them within a few hours. It's spot on, perfect care, at least in my eyes. And that's been since the beginning. I've been receiving since the beginning phone calls on a weekly basis from my coordinators, from my pharmacist, asking me if I needed anything. And, you know, if I needed to come in, they make those appointments again immediately. I've always received the best of care. And when I hear about someone who's not being treated that way in the transplant community, again, it just kind of makes my blood boil and sets me on fire, okay? So when I read this post the other day, this question, do you feel like a number? I immediately personally had to say, no, I don't. But in addition to that, I really got mad over that fact, okay? You deserve, now listen to me, you deserve the best quality care possible in every situation. You deserve that when a doctor walks in the room and that door cracks open, that they're going to look you in the eye and they're going to examine you and they're going to question you and they're going to in turn answer those questions the way that you need them to be answered, okay? And if you're not getting that, let me encourage you to stand up for yourself, lay down the law, if you will, to those doctors, nurses, coordinators, whoever, kindly though, but do that and tell them, look, I feel like I deserve more of your time. I feel like I deserve more of your focus, and I need help because we are living a life that's not easy, that we do not need to be trying to go it alone. It takes our teams, it takes our friends, it takes communities like this one, the Transplant Helper community, to really make this thing go and to really make those wheels turn, and so you need to stand up for yourself. Now, with that said, let me back off for just a moment and admit to you that I know sometimes that can be difficult. From the one hand, not all of us are willing to just kind of stand up and you know, speak to someone firmly in the way that we need. But on the other hand, it may be that your care has gotten a little bit less noticeable, or you feel like it's not quite as personal because of how far you are out from the transplant process. I love the priority that I receive, but I do not expect to receive exactly the same priority as, say, someone who is, you know, a month or 2 months or a year out of transplant. I don't need that. I don't deserve that. Now, do I have access to my coordinators? Yes. I can pick up the phone any minute, call my coordinator, get her on the phone, and ask her a question. period. I can do that. But on the other side of that, I don't expect them necessarily to call me every day or every week anymore. I don't expect them necessarily to treat me with exactly the same priority, because I want some of you who are newer to the transplant journey to be receiving that, okay? My transplant center has done over 14,000 organ transplants. Over 1,000 of them were heart transplants, and we're in and out of clinic all the time. The clinic is crowded, and we get great service because they have their ducks in a row, but I don't expect the same priority as the person sitting next to me if they are much closer to that surgery than I am, okay? I also have to add this, and let me let you hear this clearly. A lot of the relationship that we have with those doctors, nurses, and coordinator comes on our part. We have to be willing to befriend those people, to treat them special as well. Don't treat them like a doc, and I know we use that term sometimes. Hey, doc. Don't treat them like just another doctor. Get to know them respectfully, use their name, and speak to them with, just do whatever you can to get to know them, because a better relationship you can build with them inside the clinic as well as maybe outside, that's going to help. So if I see my doctor in the hospital halls and I happen to notice them, coming in the elevator, I'm going to speak. I'm going to make sure they remember me and remember my face and help to draw that priority and that mutual respect between one another. But again, that can sometimes be difficult because there's a lot of turnover sometimes in the staffing of transplant teams. And that's unfortunate. I think back when I started, I had about 7, maybe 8 doctors. And of that 7 or 8 doctors that are there on my transplant team now, there are probably only about 4. 2 of them are main, they are the heads of the thing. So they are there. They've been there for 20 some odd years, and I've known them for over 10. But there are others of that original group of 8, just concerning the doctors, that they've gone. I mean, they were maybe in training back 5 or 6 years ago. They got out of that and they moved on. And so now they're off at other hospitals. Maybe they're at one of your hospitals and they're helping you now. And I'm thankful for that. But it causes new staff. And so I've got to initiate every time I go in. If I see a new doctor, a new nurse, a new coordinator, a new receptionist, I go ahead and engage them as best I can and try to build that new relationship. It may not last forever, but if it helps me in the moment, I'm willing to do it. I know that's difficult with staffing changes. Sometimes that may be why you're not receiving the same priority, because these people, they just don't know you. They don't know your case as well. And so I have no problem if it's a new doctor particularly, or a new coordinator, which I hadn't had a new coordinator. Connie, you're my hero. You've always been my hero. She's my coordinator. But, I have no problem if a doctor walks in a room and I don't recognize them. They introduce themselves, I introduce myself, but I go ahead and tell them a little bit about myself. I tell them a little bit about my case, because I'm understanding they haven't necessarily met me before, or at least many times before. And maybe they haven't read my 50,000 page chart of, 43 years of cardiac history. So I kind of give them a run and gun quick overview, and we get to know each other that way. Anyway, I am on fire. If you're not receiving the care that you deserve and you're being treated like a number, I don't care what you do. You go tell them Jim Merle, the transplant helper, said, no, we're not going to do that. You tell them you want better care and you deserve it right now. Again, let me smile. Stay stronger, friends.